What you're about to experience are my opinions and truths. I'm suggesting they're possibilities for you to consider, in which you can then come up with your own logical conclusions.
We're caught in a trap. I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. Why can't you see what you're doing to me when you don't believe a word I say? Suspicious minds, and we can build our dreams on suspicious minds. So if an old friend I know stops by to say hello, would I still see suspicion in your eyes?
Welcome out, everyone, all you great decoders around the world. Boy, it's great to be back. It's been a long time since I've done a presentation, it seems, and I am totally stoked to bring you this decode on Trapped. And a little bit of Elvis in the house to represent this decode. What a way to bring the decodes back with this one, Trapped Decoded. And Elvis caught in a trap. And boy, do I have a gem-filled, jam-packed presentation to bring it all back to all of you great decoders and get this party started again. So let's get going with this. The song, I don't know if it's still playing in the background. I improv all these, but we're caught in a trap. I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. And you saw the videos that I chose to represent that song, and people taking selfies, staring at their phones, being caught in the prison of life. And it just seems like the continually momentum of living life keeps us trapped. And it's not just, the box. It's not the little black box, the cell phone or the computer that keeps you trapped. It's life keeps you trapped. And that's what Elvis says. I can't walk out because I love life too much. And very fitting to start this presentation off with this piece of the song equaling the number 208, bringing it into pure mathematics, bringing it into the string of pi, and the number 208 appearing at the 76th decimal digit, which leads us to the Wizard of Osmium. And you can see the comedy in this source code, because I know Elvis was singing about perhaps a partner. But really, the comedy is the architect or architects singing about you're in a trap, you ain't getting out until you die. And we don't even know what happens after that. But as I say, mankind's being used. I feel the architect or architects comes down and becomes man or woman and plays out the code. I mean, if you created this game, you'd want to play the game. Of course you would. But it's the Wizard of Osmium, it's the element osmium that gives us the big clue. And it's also tied to my prison planet decoded, and that number 208 tied to the loop that we're all stuck in, perhaps. The 208 loop with potassium, selenium, and molybdenum. The sun, the moon, and earth. And it's tied to this element bismuth as well. And boy, this one is massive bismuth. And I'm going to be showing some really deep decodes coming up with this element bismuth, which means white mass. 28, of course, is architect if you just take the 0 out of there. But this is huge right here. Huge. Bringing these presentations back, folks. We're caught in a trap. And we just have to have fun with this, because how do you win? How do you win the game of life if you're caught in a trap? Well, that's going to come down to an opinion, but nonetheless, let's keep going. Let's get into the topics for this presentation. In the 0 position, the intro, which is kind of what I'm doing now. Number 1, movie trap. Number 2, 5 and 6. Number 3, 5 and 8. And number 4, soap opera. Boy, this one, folks, just get immersed, put on a pair of headphones. This one's going to be really giving you some gem drops. Here we go. Let's get into the first topic. Movie trap. We're in a movie. That's right. And you're trapped until you die. So I'm going to show you kind of like, if those of you that are new, welcome out. But like the methodology of my decoding. And this is hundreds of videos now showing the same exact methodology. So I know this methodology works. Many of you great decoders are using this methodology, and we're strength in numbers to continually show this code. So we start off, doesn't necessarily have to be in this order, but we start off with Chaldean numerology, the oldest known numerology on the planet, by the way. And we have lights, camera, action. We're in a movie. It's the number 56. If you haven't seen my 56 decoded, please check it out. And this 56, when you bring it into pure mathematics, going into the string of pi, I love measuring numbers in the string of pi, adding them up, finding out where they're located. And if we go 56 digits into pi, counting the 3-point, you get the number 271, which is a permutation, which is another name for an anagram number, a number anagram, 127, which is the 31st prime number. But 271 is a prime number on its own. It's the 58th prime number. So what is this telling us using critical thinking? Common sense, actually, is that the 56 tied to the movie that we're in leads to the number 58 in the string of pi. And we're making up pi because it represents our emotions. Continually make up the sine and cosine waves, the frequencies of this reality called life. So this 271 is the 58th prime number, and 58, as I've been showing and many of you have been showing, it's the puppet master, which is why I got the graphic here. It's the puppet master. And it goes to this card in the tarot. Now we get into another mystical art platform, the Great Tarot. And it shows us the picture, the symbol of what it means to be in the movie. It's the 58th card in the tarot. It's the 8 of Swords. And this card means trapped and limited. I know this card very well because this is my birth card. I was born on February 4th. February 4th is the 8 Spades card. The 8 Spades card made the 8 of Swords. It's the 58th card in the deck. How I got that, you just go to the natural lineages of the tarot. And here it is. It's the 8 of Swords. And this is the spread using the Fool in the 0 and the 22nd position, which is most commonly used. If you want these graphics, just send me an email, decodeyourreality@gmail.com, and I'll send them to you. So we can recap on this. Caught in a trap. We're in the movie. And it's lights, camera, action. Hollywood is the fractal below that. The television screen is a fractal below, and then we're a fractal below in whatever's running this reality from above, the as above. And it's the 56 in the string of pi, it's the 271 using numberempire.com. 271 is the 58th prime. We go right back to numerology. The word puppet master equals 58. And we go to the tarot, and it's the 8 of swords trapped in limited card. And you know, my birthday is February 4th. This is the card that represents my birthday. My birthday is on the 35th day of the year, and the word simulation equals 35. I mean, I could just keep going and going and going and just show you how much comedy is in this. And that's what it's all about. It's just funny. What are we going to do? Get so serious about this stuff? It's a joke. I mean, even the songs these people sing, they're telling you how funny it is. I showed this with Elvis, you know, Jailhouse Rock. I mean, he's sang a lot of songs. Let's get into the 5 and 6 though. Like, let's break this 5 and 6 down and get in some advanced decoding. This is, I'm saying this is advanced because there ain't too many decoders out there that use this. But this is very, very important. It has a lot of merit. It's the sine and cosine waves, and we get the sine and cosine waves, the measurement of them, from the perfect circle, the measurement of pi right here. As we move through the frequency of numbers and the sine and cosine wave. It's really what this is. The measurement of a circle, and every number has a measurement. I did this with Elvis and his timestamp when I decoded Elvis Presley. Go check it out. Decoded Elvis. But this number 56, every number, any number, you go to numberempire.com. Here it is. And you just scroll down, and here's the sine and cosine waves right here. These two numbers. And you can do a lot with this to get some, you know, some more renditions of how this reality works. So let's do that. So when you break down and you add up the sine and cosine waves, all the numbers that numberempire.com has given us, you get the 45 with the sine and the 52 with the cosine. When you take 45 and 52 and you add it up, this is the number that you're going to get, 97. 97 is not just any number, it's the freaking 25th prime number. 25 is tied to the word black sun. So think about what the black sun gives way to the white sun. The black sun, you could say, is the projector. And the projector shoots the light, and now you have the white sun. 25. The word adversary equals 25. But there's the 97, and that 97 can be branched off so many different ways using many different elements on the Mystical Art platform along with science as well. But just using straight up numerology, you get the letter Y equaling the number 25. It's the 25th letter. And oh boy, that Y. The Y is the shape that the snake's tongue is made out of. You just keep going and going, but it's also tied to the word yellow. The word yellow equals 25, and the sun is commonly known as yellow. Of course, when it's high noon, it's going to be white, but as it goes away or appears to go down, its first color is yellow. And you remember, yellow is the color, yellow and kind of the lime green color is the first color that we see when it enters the black suns in our eyes, the little devils in our eyes. To, you know, obviously give us what we need to see this reality. And there it is. It's all right there. It's the simulation, lights, camera, action, turning into the 97, being the 25th prime number, and we have the word yellow and the letter Y. I mean, it's all right here for you to see, folks. It's just all right here. And, you know, this is where I feel Back to the Future comes in, 88 miles an hour, even the element yttrium. You go to the Royal Society of Chemistry right here, and you go to the element yttrium right here. And there's the 88. The letter Y, yttrium. The 39th element, which is going to tie to Lucifer, because Lucifer in its original spelling is the number 39. But there it is. What makes time travel possible? Back to the Future, 1985, the classic movie. It's the, I did one on the Christ battery as well, because there's the crucifixion as well. But there's the Y right there. Connecting the 3 points. The Ankh is in there as well. Many shapes fit in there. So we get into these two major words on the Decoding World stage. It's Pandora's Box and Prison Planet. And if you study mythology, I think it's more fact than it is myth, but you get into Greek mythology and you get into Jupiter and Prometheus and his brother Epimetheus opening up Pandora's box, the shitstorm. And you have this, nightmare on Earth. And notice that the sine wave of the 56 is the 45, which is tied to Pandora's box. How very fitting that the Lights, Camera, Action, the movie that we're in, is the Pandora's box. That's where the cube comes in. And then the cosine wave is the 52, and it's tied to Prison Planet. And these 26s are tied to magnetic and electric. Magnetic and electric both are 26, because that's what Prison Planet's all about. We live in a magnetic and electric universe on the dielectric plane in the Prison Planet. And you don't get out till you die. Whatever happens after that happens. But this is all comedy. It's just all comedy with a serious look. So when we bring in alchemy into this, to give us more clues, more defining moments of how this reality works in the decoding process, you get rhodium and tellurium. And rhodium is tied to the blood, the Rh factor as well. Let's not leave that out. But remember that if you take 1 plus 2 plus 3, if you take Saturn's magic cube and you add them all up, 1 through 9, you're going to get 45. So the sine wave of 56, meaning Lights, Camera, Action, being trapped in the box is Pandora's box, which is rhodium. I showed this in my Prison Planet Decoded. And Great Architect of the Universe. If you haven't seen that one, check it out. It was in there, representing the cube, rhodium. Rhodium is where the Rosicrucians come in, and it's the rose that gives the bees the honey. It's the box. It's the box that produces the simulation. And then you have the 52nd element tellurium, which means earth. It comes from the word tellus, which means earth. So you have the box and you have earth. I mean, you can't get any more loud and clear at how this reality works with the numbering and what's written in the code, the organic code. And tellurium, this is the most abundant weight or atomic mass. Its average is 127, which is the 31st prime number. But when you take the weights of these two atomic masses, and you add them up, you're going to get 232.812. And I'll let you pause the video and just get out your calculator and add up 232 and 812 and just see what number that you get. Go ahead and do that. Pause it and then come back and press play, and let's keep going. I'll let you do that. So really it comes down to the 58 again, because when you take the sine and cosine waves, and now we're going to look at the very first number after the decimal. And this is, in numerology, it'd be called the cornerstone, the first letter. In mathematics, it'd probably be the same thing, but it's the 5 and the 8 that directs the ship. And that brings us to the 58 again. So it keeps going to that number 58. The 56 does, telling you that you're trapped and limited. You're in a prison planet. You're in Pandora's box. You're in Saturn's magic square, the cube. And there's so many different ways to branch off with that. And then, it just keeps coming back to that puppet master, ruling over the 8 of Swords, telling you that you're in a simulation. When you go 2 digits past, you could just keep going, but when you go 2 digits past, it's 52 and 85. And 52 plus 85 is going to give you 137. There's the 33. And then again, this is where, you can just, as a decoder, you can look at this and be like, okay, well, this is far beyond Masonic. This is far beyond, the people that think that these organizations are running anything. They're maybe aware of the numbers, but they're just being used like you and I. They're doing their job. If you don't like their job, I don't like that, then go do something about it. But that 137 is the 33rd prime number in the string of the golden ratio. Besides the string of pi, the golden ratio from the light. That 137 appears at the 97th decimal digit. And again, what is 45 and 52? 97. You're going to get berkelium, which is tied to the 96. It's a really big deal, that 97 and berkelium as well. And then you have this element right here, molybdenum, which its most abundant weight is 97. Its average is 95. That's 1/2 of the IM, but it's the most abundant weight, 97. And then you go to the Life, the Universe and Everything, and Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Oh boy, what a gem that was, that book and series, the 42. I mean, the word soap opera equals 42. It's a joke. We live inside of a soap opera. We're in a soap opera. So, lastly, when you bring in the 97, because we did the 137, found by adding up the 45 and 52, but now what about the 97 itself in the string of the golden ratio? It's found at the 81st decimal digit, 81 and 82. 82 is lead. So telling you we become lead, but I thought this was really interesting. What operates this reality? Lights, camera, action. Of course. That's what runs it, not man. Man's just following the blueprint. Man's just following the blueprint. And it's just so much easier when you can see these things and realize that you're living in a predestined script. That's it. You just got to have fun with it. What else you can do? Get angry at it? It's like going to yell at the sun thinking the sun's going to move for you. Ain't going to move for you. So let's get into the 5 and the 8 now. We did the 5 and the 6 in this decode called Trapped. It's the 5 and the 8. And of course, it's the puppet master, right? But what about the sine and cosine waves of the 58 itself? 58 is just 2 digits from the 56. 58 is the 5 in the 8. And when you do the sine and cosine waves, it's 76 and 55. I mean, if you do the first digit, there's the 9 and the 1. 91, it means battery. And it's also not praseodymium, but protactinium, which means the first. So these are all clues with the elements on the periodic table. Here's the clue for that. It's osmium. We go right back. We're caught in a trap. We're caught in a trap. Forgot what I was going to say. I can't walk out. That's what I wanted to say. We're caught in a trap. I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. And that Wizard of Oz, the 76, the 208 appearing at the 76 decimal digit. There it is. The 58, the puppet master, tied to that statement that Elvis sang. So did Elvis, or whoever wrote it, I think it was rewritten actually. If we go to that song, here it is, Suspicious Minds. And, I know Elvis, Mark James originally wrote it, but Elvis kind of made it famous. I mean, even this joke right here, look at this. The B-side is A Taste of Heaven. Are you kidding me? And then you go to this and you type them in and look at what you get. Look at that. Suspicious Minds, you'll think of me, 119, and then the Keys to the Universe. Really? See what I mean? This is the comedy. What else are we supposed to do with this? Get so serious? Get angry at it? There's nothing you can do about it. There ain't nothing that we're going to be able to do about it. That's why you just got to have fun with this reality, not take it so serious. And then play your game instead of playing their game. But it's the osmium and cesium. 55's tied to iron as well. 55's tied to the word predestination. If you just go right here, predestination is 55. And there's the 55. The puppet master running the predestination. It's the Wizard of Oz. It goes by many names. It has many titles. And this cesium, if you saw the great show on Netflix called Dark, cesium was used for time travel. So I feel like the architect comes down and becomes man. It plays out the puppet anytime it wants. Maybe not all the time, but anytime it wants, just does it. So we end up getting to this right here because when you take the sine and cosine wave from the number 58 and you add them up, 76 and 55, you're going to get 131, and it's the 32nd prime number. This 32 is really special because this is the number at which water freezes. So the 33 is water gets liquid, 32, water freezes, it changes its state, and that's telling you you're trapped under ice. Metallica had that song. I covered this in another decode. Trapped under ice. You're trapped. You're trapped in your physical body. You're trapped in matter. 33 means ascension. Or something like that. But this 131 being the 32nd prime number, going to Pink Floyd, the song Brain Damage. I covered this in another decode. It was profound, the information that I found. But there it is. There's someone in my... This is, Roger Waters wrote these lyrics. There's someone in my head, but it's not me. Yeah, it's not you. The voice in your head, that owns you. You have conversations with it all the time. And there's someone in my head, and that's, what is that? It's it. That's what's in your mind. So it's in my mind. And the puppet master and the 58 and 32 representing duality represents hell. It's sulfur. Sulfur's weight is 32. Sulfur's 16. Days of creation is 1 through 6. So let's get into the last topic, soap opera. That's what we're in. You're in a soap opera. I'm in a soap opera. This I just found today. I want to give a big shout out to some great decoders out there, Tegan and Flynn, and anybody else that was involved in the soap opera postings in our Telegram group, Decode Your Reality. But I just wanted to look this up. I had looked this up a long time ago, wanting to know the longest running television shows, and the Sandman's the longest running from Germany. But this is the longest running soap opera. If you read about Guiding Light, do I even have it on here? No, I don't even have it on here. But if you read about Guiding Light, it's the longest running soap opera. And when you do the Guiding Light through the numerology, it's going to give you a total of 39, but the clue is the 23 and the 16. Remember I told you this sulfur has 32, and 32 is tied to right there. There's someone in my head, but it's not me. 131 is the 32nd prime number. We found that from adding up the sine and cosine waves of Puppet Master's 58. So there it is. It's sulfur. And it's the S. It's on Superman's chest. The word sun starts with the letter S. Simulation starts with the letter S. And then you have this element, vanadium. And the V. And this is where, I did a decode many years ago on Lucifer's sigil. It's one of my first decodes ever. And it needs to get revised, but I showed the letter V on this sigil, I felt anyway. It was tied to vanadium, and I'm absolutely certain that is the case. Because, the word pineal gland is 20, the word pineal is 23. 23 is the royal star of the lion in numerology. The lion is Leo the lion, ruled by the sun, the 5th house. And then this show, Guiding Light, is the 5th longest running television show of all time. The 5th. That's the comedy. And then the royal star of the lion's tied to Leo, which is the 5th zodiac sign. But when you take the 23 and 16 and you add it up, you get the 39, going right over to the original spelling of Lucifer in the Aramaic /Hebrew, the only mention of it in Isaiah 14 verses 12, the only scripture, and there's the original spelling of it, it's 39. And Lucifer's known as the light bringer. You see, so that's why, like, is Lucifer Venus? Well, maybe when it transits Taurus, but it's the sun. It's the sun devil, the guiding light. Obviously, you can see the connections there. They're kind of undeniable. And then, I mean, the kicker here, vanadium and sulfur, the numerology is 56, and it's lights, camera, action again. So you can start to see the narration of this reality in this script code right there. And then, it goes even further, because if you take the 23 and 16 and you bring those two numbers together and you bring it into the string of pi, I mean, the results kind of speak for themselves. Let me just zoom in, those of you. But look at that right there. What do you see? Right there. That's why I got this logo right there. I mean, it's got the 0 there, but right there. And, when you do that title, it's going to give you the same outcome as the guiding light and Lucifer in the original spelling. How very fit. How about that? All these pieces right here. And so we get right back to Suspicious Minds. The song itself is 58. And we're caught in a trap. The trap's a lot of fun. I think so anyway. If you were given a good code, that's the only way that I can see how this reality works. Everything is allowed because it's not real. This reality is not real. We're in a movie that you watch on the television screen. It's not real, but a lot of you cry, you get angry at these characters, and it's not even freaking real. You can't tell the difference when you're sucked into a movie or a show. Otherwise, you wouldn't get emotionally involved. So our reality is just a fractal down, and whatever's observing us from the as above, this reality is not real to it. That's the only logical explanation that I can come up with of why suffering's allowed, why all the nightmare stuff's allowed. And this puppet master, it comes down and becomes man or woman. And that's it. And that's how it's trapped. You're trapped. So are we actually trapped? Maybe. How do we get out? Well, I did the Prison Planet. Check out my Prison Planet Part 2, but here's a sneak peek of that. I got some more information coming out on this. But there was a movie that came out right here. It was Tron Legacy, the remake of Tron. Tron came out in 1982. Go study the story behind this movie, the plot, and then start to use logical and critical thinking. But here is Jeff Bridges and his son. His son comes to save him. Jeff Bridges actually downloads himself into the game he creates. Think about what I'm telling you. He downloads himself into the game that he creates, the artificial intelligence. And then his son downloads himself to come save his father. And they're running to get to the portal, which is right there, the portal, to get out. And, this is called Clue. This guy right here would be the devil. He creates Clue, but Clue overtakes the game. And he says to his son, the only way to win is not to play. That's what he says. It doesn't mean that these are absolutes. These are ideas. But when you do the numerology of these and you go to the Masonic tradition of the GOD, it's a direct match. It's the 105. And that 15, 105, 51, 501, the 501 tax C3, just the mirror of the 105, which is tied to the church, or church is, the 501c3. I did a decode on that. But, what are we to do with this? Are we really trapped? And is this a game where we can have the ability to get out? Kind of looks that way with this stuff that comes out. And it's, we're having suspicious minds. You're suspicious. And when you're suspicious, you're curious. And curiosity allows you to get to these layers of decoding. And I'd love to hear what you saw during this presentation. My comeback after over 3 weeks. This is a long time. I haven't done a decode, but I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back. It's great to be back. Got way more content coming out. It's got some great podcasts coming out. So stick around for that stuff. But what did you see during this presentation? Would love to hear your comments. Keep them coming in the text box below. And those of you that are interested in a reading, I do have selected dates through the month of May. Just send me an email, decodeyourreality@gmail.com, and just hit me up for a reading, and I'll get back with you on that. But I'd love to hear what you saw, ladies and gentlemen. I want to just big shout out to all you great decoders, man. Much love to every single one of you. It's nice to see this family growing and, and doing some great things in the decoding world. So anyway, that's all I got for today. My name is Logan for Decode Your Reality. Until next time, folks, we will see you later.